Hi everybody, this is Professor Jameson. This will be a video lecture to accompany Chapter 11 and it should also help you understand this week's assignment. Okay. Chapter 11 deals with client transmittal letters, or well, they're not necessarily always to clients, they could be of any third party, and opinion letters. Okay. I'm going to focus this week just on transmittal letters because opinion letters are a lot more difficult. Unless you're a really sophisticated paralegal, you will not probably be writing them. Okay, they involve a lot of legal research usually. But I might design an assignment next week to you take a stab at minimally trying to prepare one. But this week we're going to focus on the transmittal letter. Okay, what is a transmittal letter? Well, it's a letter. It can go to a client, but it could also go to a third party. It could go to a court as well. A lot of times we use it as a cover letter when we're sending documents. But we're going to focus this week on transmittal letters to clients. Okay, so let's talk about first why we send them. Okay, the main reason we do is one, to keep the client informed as to what's going on in the case. The other reason is to cover our own asses. So in case our client feels like we have screwed them over, we have documentation that we addressed every issue or most of the issues that came up in the case, and that we sent those to them and we kept them informed as to what's going on. The ethical obligations under the rules of professional require that you keep the client informed. Now, that only applies normally to what we call significant events in the case. We don't have to inform them of everything. But I've worked for attorneys that say anything that comes in, send it to the client, particularly if they're business clients. Okay. When I worked for Barry Goldman, I told you a little amusing story about Barry in the intro lecture. Barry's policy was anything that comes into the office, it goes to the client, period. So there's no doubt that we're keeping them updated as to the status. Okay. Now, with personal injury clients, like a lot that I have, you're not going to send them everything, but we are going to look at some documents today that we do send to the client, and it will give you an example, some things to use when you prepare your own letter. I really like the tips in the margin of your book. On my book, which is, I believe, the third volume of this book, it's on page 332, about, using plain English, being uh, precise and specific, right at the level of the recipient. Remember, number one rule is to communicate. And when we communicate, we have to think of the audience that we're sending it to. Okay. Be consistent in terms of your formality. Okay. We do not want to be casual in our letters. We don't want to start out, hey, dude, or hi, Jim. Okay. We want to be formal. Okay. We're professionals. Okay. Keep your sentences fairly short. I love that. Okay. Remember, shorter is better. That's one of my pet peeves. Break up each text with paragraphs. Okay. Long paragraphs tend to be tedious, and people really don't always remember what's in the middle of the paragraph. They remember the beginning and the end. Same thing with pretty much any letter. Okay. State the purpose. We're going to get into that. Obviously, proofread the letter. Okay. Proofreading does not mean just spell checking. That is not sufficient. Okay. You're going to have attorneys, particularly if you work for a sole practitioner, that if something goes out of the office, even though they proofread it and it's wrong and it gets out of the office, it's your fault. Okay. You're my secretary. You are my paralegal. You're supposed to make sure that I don't send things out. Okay. Now you think that that's not fair. Okay. But remember, this person is signing your check. Okay. Let's see what else here. Double check to make sure your enclosures are included. Okay. The letter will state that they're enclosures, and make sure we drop them in the envelope. Okay. And note any special transmittal method. Okay. If we're going to send it by fax versus U.S. mail, we're going to say that. Okay. If we're sending it via email, whatever it might be. Okay. We want to note in a lot of letters, if we're not sending it via the mail, how we're sending it. Okay. Most common way in the old days was by facsimile. Okay. I don't know if people use faxes as much as just emailing things and attaching it as a document, but um, in my day, the fax machine was the way most people communicated under short notice. Okay. A lot of attorneys used to like to turn their fax machine off at 4 o'clock on Friday to present that late night surprise on, 4:45 on Friday afternoon that we have an ex parte hearing before a judge on Monday afternoon. Okay, so that's a little tricky. Okay, now what I want to do is I just want to go over a few letters. These are letters that I actually drafted and sent. I literally have thousands of letters. Okay, but we're going to go over a few of them. And, these are all in Word format. So if you want to download them yourself, remember I talked about starting your own library of documents. Okay, this would be a good place to start. And keep them for yourself. And, you can use this format to prepare your own letters. Okay, remember, plagiarism is not taking other guys' good ideas and using them for yourself. Okay, plagiarism in this class is using your fellow students' work and copying it. Okay, remember in the law, okay, if I find something good that somebody's done, I keep copy and copy it myself when I need it later. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that.